you would get a charter from the king or from the queen that would say, I give you permission to behave this way. And that is to have a corporation. Because, you needed permission to dodge your debts as an investor. And we still carry out this idea that you have to get a charter or a grant from the state that allows you to behave this way. So here in the United States, each of the 50 states has the authority to create corporations and to grant to people the right to behave in this particular way, to create pools of money where the investors are protected or where their risk is limited to the amount of money that they have put into the corporation. So that's what's special. That's what's special about corporations. There's a wall, and in fact, there's a slide. No, the next slide. There's a wall that exists between the creditors of the corporation and the shareholders of the corporation. Okay? And the creditors of the corporation can't jump over or go through that wall and get to the shareholders' assets. They can pick away at the assets of the business if they're owed money. Creditors can always go after the business for the money that the business owes the creditor, but they can't jump over that wall and get to the assets of the individual shareholders. Okay. I want to talk for just a second about how you make money with corporations if you're an investor. There's two ways really to make money as an investor in a corporation. One is by the corporation paying dividends, okay? And this is a way that a corporation passes its profits back to the individual shareholders, okay? And when we use the word shareholder, you start to break that word down and you understand that really is what we're talking about. They each have a share of a part of the company that they've invested in and own. So you can, as a shareholder, make money by dividends, and that is when the corporation decides that it has sufficient assets, that it has profits, it's paid its bills, and it has money sitting in the bank. It's permitted to pay out dividends to its shareholders. You can also make money as an investor in a corporation, as a shareholder, by looking for the company to appreciate in value. Now, historically, investors seemed more interested in dividends. Recently, and I mean recently meaning the last 20, 30 years, there seems to be more of an emphasis on making money through the appreciation in the value of the stock. Let's talk about how this appreciation idea works. Suppose that I bought Microsoft when it was selling for $100 a share. And I don't know what Microsoft sells for now. Let's just say it's selling for $300 a share. If I bought it for $100 a share and it's now selling at $300 and I sell it for $300, I made $200. Well, that's pretty good. A lot of tech companies don't pay dividends. They're much more interested in boosting their value and making their shareholders happy by their shareholders looking at the appreciation in the value of the company. And as the company becomes more valuable, it's better and better to own shares of a company that's more valuable. So again, shareholders looking to make money either through appreciation or looking at making money through dividends. Okay? There's no requirement that corporations pay dividends, but it traditionally is it is traditionally the way that profits are paid back. I want to take one more minute to talk about something that seems to confuse a lot of people, and that is if I buy shares of stock today. So let's suppose that let's go back to Microsoft. And I should have looked to see what Microsoft is selling for. I have no idea, but let's just suppose that it's selling today for $300. If I want to go and buy shares of Microsoft today, I go to the stockbroker and say, get me one share of Microsoft. And the stockbroker says, that'll be $300. I give them $300. They go to the market and find somebody that wants to sell today, that wants to sell for $300. Microsoft doesn't get that $300. Microsoft only gets money when they are selling shares of stock to people. And most of the stock that's sold on a day-to-day basis is not sold by the businesses, not sold by the corporation, but rather by individual investors who have held the stock for some period of time and have decided now that they'd like to cash in. Maybe the stock is dropping in value, and as it drops in value, they're saying, boy, I bought it for 100 and it's down to 90. I've taken enough grief. I think it's going to go even lower. I want to get out. Or maybe it's gone up in value, and as it's gone up in value, you decide it's time to cash in and take my profits. But again, generally when people buy stock for existing corporations, so if you buy stock in Ford Motor Company, you buy stock in Pfizer Drugs, you buy stock in Hospital Corporation of America, if you're buying stock like that, you're generally buying it from people that already own the stock rather than from the company. Companies issue stock when they first go into business. It's called going public. And that's when they put stock out on the market that the company sells to get their original seed money. Think again of that idea of a ship getting ready to leave port in Holland in the 1500s. Before that could happen, you had to get the money put together. And you put that money together by looking for multiple people who would be willing to put some money in and take a share of the business. Well, once that happened, the people that own the shares are free to sell those to other people if they wish. Whether they sell them the day after they bought them, or they sell them when the ship is halfway to Indonesia, or they wait until the ship comes back and sell them then, it really doesn't matter. The only time that the corporation made money was when the corporation originally sold its stock. Again, corporations are permitted from time to time to issue more shares of stock and sell more stock as a way to raise additional money. Let's do this. We're going to take a short break before we talk about the two types of corporations. Okay? Okay, let's jump back in. We're going to start with corporations and talk about the two types of corporations. So I think it's probably, you need to be ahead to the slide that at the top says corporations, two kinds, and it says for-profit versus not-for-profit. Okay? So what I've got in that slide is a picture of two businesses. On the left is HCA, Hospital Corporation of America, based in Nashville. It's the largest owner of for-profit hospitals in the United States. On the right is the Cleveland Clinic, which is a not-for-profit. You can be either kind of business. When you go to the state and ask permission to be a corporation, they say, what kind of corporation do you want to be? Do you want to be for-profit or do you want to be not-for-profit? Don't be fooled by these names, because I promise that on the left, HCA does a lot of charity work and sees a lot of patients that they don't get paid for seeing. That's a fact. I promise that on the right, the Cleveland Clinic, even though they're not for profit, if you go to the Cleveland Clinic, and by the way, if you ever get a chance to go because it's hopefully you don't have to go as a patient, go to see how they run their operation. It's an extraordinary enterprise. Go to the Cleveland Clinic, and you can expect that if you go as a patient that they're going to send you a bill. They're not designed, their purpose is not to just give away care for free. So why is the one called for-profit, even though it does stuff for free, and the other one called not-for-profit, even though they charge people money, and they both do plenty of both? How does this really work? Well, the fact of the matter is that the for-profit, okay, let's take the Hospital Corporation of America, based in Nashville. The Hospital Corporation of America is structured in such a way that when they were organized, they asked to be a for-profit corporation and said, our purpose at the end of the day is to make money for the shareholders. The shareholders, the people that are putting money into this enterprise, expect at the end of the day a share of the profits. We hope that we have profits, and those people that are investing in our corporation expect to share in those profits. So that's on the for-profit side. On the not-for-profit side, when the Cleveland Clinic was established, as a corporation, they said, we're going to do it differently. People are going to put some money in, but those people that put the money in, at the end of the day, they're not expecting their stock to appreciate and sell it for a profit. They're not expecting dividends every quarter or once a year. They're not expecting any share of the profits. What they're expecting is a business to grow and grow and grow and do more and more and more in the world of healthcare without giving any kind of profits back to the owners. That instead the profits will be constantly plowed back into the purpose of the corporation. Now that purpose could be to build more buildings, to buy more real estate, along Superior Avenue in Cleveland. It could be to, build a new facility in Naples, Florida, or in Scottsdale, Arizona, or all the other places that the Cleveland Clinic has, expanded to. It could be to, do medical research. But at the end of the day, the money that the Cleveland Clinic makes, that would ordinarily be called profits, are money that are plowed back into the purpose of providing for medical care and enhancing the quality of medicine in the world. Okay? That's their stated purpose. HCA's stated purpose is make money for the investors. I'm not saying that one is good and one is bad, or that one has better care and one has lesser care. That's not what it's about. It's about what was your fundamental purpose when you were established. Okay? So let's go to the next slide. We talked about how corporations distribute their profits. And again, let's go to the next one. This one says for-profit governance. So this is got a set of arrows that says elect and select. With a for-profit corporation, the shareholders, the people who have put their money in and own stock, or the people that have acquired shares from people who originally put money in, whoever the shareholders are on a current basis, are the people that have the responsibility and the right to elect who the directors are for the corporation. The directors then have the responsibility for selecting the officers of the corporation. So again, if we have a large corporation, someone like Hospital Corporation of America or Pfizer Drug or Eli Lilly or Ford Motor Company, whoever, Microsoft, whoever you want, there are shareholders. The shareholders, by an election, elect who the directors are, and the directors are the ones that have the responsibility for managing the company. Part of the responsibility for managing the company is to figure out who's going to be the president, who's going to be the head of HR, who's going to be who are we going to hire for legal counsel? Are we going to have in-house counsel or outside counsel? So that's how the governance works for a not-for-profit, for a for-profit. So let's go to the not-for-profit. Again, they're carrying out their purposes, or they're taking what would be profits, using those for their purpose, not for shareholders. And how they govern themselves is similar, and that is that they are, since the shareholders aren't there to make money, and by the way, in not-for-profits, it depends a little bit state to state, but in most states, they aren't called shareholders for nonprofits, they're called members. And the members actually select what happens. Great thing about lecturing at home is there's always a dog barking. Let's give Kennedy a dog biscuit. So let me stop for just a second.